Welcome back to the Krusty Fox, as we embark on a brand new season of Sex and the Shitty. As you might expect, in their third year, our fearsome foursomes scale new heights of improbable insanity, deplorable depravity, and of course, sanctimonious selfishness. This Season 3 premiere sees Carrie dip her toes, and some other parts, into the lukewarm waters of politics, with an episode entitled Where There's Smoke. Which, by now, is what every man Carrie encounters should be thinking before asking her out. And please do help the channel out by dropping a like, leaving a comment with your take, and subscribing for more every week. And stay tuned until the bitter end for this week's question. We rejoin our unlucky in love ladies on the ferry to Staten Island, where Carrie has been invited to judge the FDNY's annual calendar competition. Left in the margins is the likely gratitude of NYC's firefighters to have 4 dumpster fires brought to them for once. Bill is the token male panelist, a divorced politician in the running to be the city's next comptroller. And after that introduction, it's no surprise to find that he telegraphs his interest in Ms. Bradshaw with all the subtlety of Harry Styles at a film premiere. The other ladies are distracted by the onstage arrival of dancing pectoral muscle Ricky. Since Miranda still has her Brady with benefits, and Charlotte wore white and a bejeweled crucifix to broadcast her religious trauma to the room, it falls to a willing Samantha to see if he'll sort out her backdraft. By the bar, Bill slimes his way over to Carrie with an eye to finishing the pursuit he unwisely started in front of a stage full of significantly more interesting men. After Carrie takes another opportunity to fat-shame someone, this time a firefighter with alleged love handles, she allows Bill to shoot his shot. His politics-themed chat-up lines prove fruitless when Carrie coughs to never having voted. An admission that further increases the likelihood that the show had the corpse of Emmeline Pankhurst on a continuous 6-year spin cycle. In need of a fireman's lift away from Bill's relentless advances, Carrie heads for the exit where she and Miranda witness, well, this. Yep, she's doing great. At breakfast the next day, everyone tries their best to ignore the fact that Miranda's dressed like she's on her way to a shift at Santa's grotto. Samantha's gushing review of Fireman Ricky leads to a debate about the merits of fetishizing men. Carrie chimes in with her second fatphobic comment of the episode so far, suggesting that the appeal of firemen is because the FDNY has a weight limit. Of course, she can say that about men, but if I say that she's a stick insect with a body like a lumpy surfboard, I'm being problematic. By now, a hungover and near-death Charlotte has had enough and torpedoes the conversation with an outburst about the, from her perspective, long overdue arrival of her white knight. Keen to confirm her kill, she goes on to suggest that the real reason women think firemen are hot is because what they actually want is to be rescued. This horrifies the others, but I can tell you that it isn't true. Firemen are fetishized by the gay community too, and we're not looking to get rescued. We're looking to get fucked. Back at her apartment, Carrie weighs up whether women really want to save themselves, or if Charlotte's deep-rooted desire for her very own Prince Smarming is what they secretly crave. She anxiously gnaws it into the shape of this week's headline. Do women just want to be rescued? Someone who definitely doesn't want to be rescued, but who other people need to be rescued from, is Miranda. She's across town sorting out a LASIK appointment, apparently in need of perfect 20/20 vision ahead of inevitably picking up where the Zodiac killer left off. She shrugs off Steve's kind offer of post-procedure assistance when all the poor guy probably wants is one good night's sleep. The kind that only comes from visual confirmation that his apex predator is blindfolded, medicated, and unable to commit violent crime for a single blissful evening. That night, Carrie accompanies Charlotte to her own hunting ground, New York's pretentious bar scene, where Ms. York trolls for affluent peen. It's clear from her behaviour that when she says she's looking for a white knight, she really does mean the whitest one available. When a man called JJ, who has a face like someone tried to sketch Lin-Manuel Miranda from memory, won't take no for an answer, her knight finally rides to her aid. By which I mean abruptly knocking JJ the f*** out. The nobleman in question, Sir Arthur of Investment Bankier, regrettably appears to be a barely adult Damien from The Omen. I mean, look at him. Tell me that isn't the most demonically sinister smile you've ever seen. If this was real life, the most you'd see of Charlotte after this would be a handbag and half a leg floating in the Hudson the next morning. The day after, Carrie's forced home from a shopping trip by her credit card leaping out of her purse, slapping her across the tits and spontaneously combusting. As she approaches her building, she's bizarrely happy to see future comptroller Bill sat outside waiting for her like an absolute lunatic. Bill invites her out again, this time to a political event, and Carrie's head is turned by the opportunity to combine two of her favourite pastimes: dining out on someone else's dime and dicking over her friends. Which is how Ms. Hobbs ends up flying solo at her LASIK appointment. A bit of eye mangling and a good dose of Valium suppresses her killer instinct sufficiently to ensure she doesn't go ham on Steve when he shows up to help her out anyway. It's like his life's ambition is to end up on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries where he's found in a back alley with his flesh flute jammed up his nose. On a date with Arthur, Charlotte begins quietly working through her dream douchebag checklist. She discovers that he's overqualified for the position when the demon that lives behind his cold, dead eyes makes a timely appearance. It turns out that JJ's earlier decking wasn't a one. Samantha heads down to the firehouse at Ricky's invitation, dressed for and fully expecting to have the grease fire in her loving oven doused by at least a calendar's worth of fit firemen. What she finds instead appears to be the waiting room for a Sopranos casting call. Elsewhere, Carrie ignores Bill's sinister voicemails from outside her apartment.
Hello, Sydney.
She calls Miranda to ask what's wrong with her that she can't bring herself to dive back into the dating pool. Miranda states the obvious. Carrie's still insane in the membrane over Big and afraid of being hurt again. Just a tiny recap for you here. Carrie was the one who dumped Big. Twice, no less. And this romantic trauma she keeps harping on about basically boils down to him not observing an official mourning period for their relationship that even the British royal family would consider over the top. Back at the firehouse, Samantha finally manages to get Ricky to extinguish the inferno in her pickle stinker, which happens at maximum volume and on the back of a fire truck in the middle of the station. That's got to be some kind of health code violation, for the risk of making the ladders slippery if nothing else. A sudden alarm and the abrupt disappearance of the entire crew leaves Samantha alone and nearly naked in the firehouse, her sweater meat swinging in the breeze. We never hear from Ricky again, so I'll leave it up to you to decide whether Sam organically lubricating their equipment resulted in any avoidable deaths. Sufficiently reality checked by Miranda, Carrie pops up at Bill's Staten Island event unexpectedly like a horny, deluded Batman. Eventually, she gives in and makes out with him in the coat check. It is difficult to appreciate the apparent weight of the moment when their unnecessarily gaping maws make them look like two starving blobfish trying to eat each other through a closed window. When her awkward, aggressive closet fondling later causes her to miss the last ferry back to Manhattan, stalker Bill rocks up seconds behind her cab to save the day and probably murder her at some point if the opportunity arises. As she accepts his offer of a ride home, she muses on the situation. Despite Bill's creepy interventions saving her skin, because God forbid she should have to spend a single night anywhere but the Big Apple, she decides that she's actually saving herself because she knows the way back to Manhattan. She proves this by telling Bill to take a right out of the port, in the direction of the only entrance and exit. The one they both just arrived at. Girl power if ever I saw it. And that's it for this episode. Why not celebrate the start of the season by leaving a like and subscribing to catch all the fun and games with each new weekly episode? You'd better do it, or Arthur will appear in your bedroom at 3 AM. This week's question is, do fantasies ever match up in reality, or do they always end up like Charlotte's and Samantha's in this episode? Leave a comment with your take, and the best will make an appearance next week. Either way, thanks for watching, and as ever, if you can't be good, be crusty.